Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're breaking down a blueprint for what I can only describe as the ultimate deep dive Viking history curriculum. If you're the kind of person who loves history but hates it when the gritty details get glossed over, well, you're in the right place. We are going to reconstruct this early medieval Scandinavian masterclass step by step.
But okay, before we completely bury ourselves in the history books, we've got to start with the modern hook. Think about the upcoming 2026 World Cup. Specifically, that viral fjord photo shoot with Erling Haaland and the Norway squad. It's wild, right? Moments like that, and the endless internet memes they generate, literally drag ancient Norse history right back into our modern mainstream.
So here's the game plan for today. We'll hit the modern Viking hook, move from myth to reality, break down tactics, logistics, and warfare, dive into culture, games, and grooming, and wrap up with the ultimate Viking syllabus.
Starting off with that modern hook, where pop culture meets 2026. It is so fascinating to juxtapose these modern tropes against actual historical reality. You've got the stadium Viking war craze, the chanting, the massive fandom, up against the highly complex, granular reality of what really went down centuries ago. The whole point here is to use our modern pop culture obsession as a bridge to transport us directly into the factual past.
Which brings us to moving from myth to reality, and setting some ground rules for this deep dive.
If we're going to truly understand early medieval Scandinavia, this curriculum outline lays down one absolutely uncompromising rule: do not summarize or gloss over events. Seriously, a true deep dive demands a granular step-by-step approach. No sweeping generalizations allowed. We are getting into the absolute weeds here.
So what does that actually look like? Well, it means relying on exact timelines and crucial dates. We aren't just going to say, the Vikings invaded. No way. We need specific historical figures, kings, chieftains. We need exact location names. And crucially, we need concrete, real-world case studies. We're talking specific trade records, detailed battle plans, and undeniable factual data like actual siege accounts. Let's shift gears to tactics, logistics, and warfare and analyze this incredible war machine.
To really break down their military success, we have to look closely at 4 tactical pillars. First up, we don't just look at their boats, we are analyzing the structural engineering and exact ship design metrics. Second, we have to detail their logistics. How on earth did they supply these massive, sprawling campaigns? Third, we analyze their exact military strategies. And finally, we dive into the psychological warfare they used to literally terrify their enemies before a single sword was even swung.
Next up is culture, games, and grooming, or the hidden daily life.
You see, warfare is only half the story. The granular details of their daily life completely flip our stereotypes upside down. Usually, you picture a rugged, unwashed barbarian, right? Well, actually scratch that. In reality, these fearsome warriors were incredibly meticulous about their personal grooming and hygiene. It turns out the most terrifying fighters in Europe were completely devoted to their combs and tweezers.
Their society also featured a really rich culture of recreation. A true deep dive means looking at their games, starting with Hnefatafl. This was a highly strategic Viking board game. It totally proves that their tactical minds weren't just working on military logistics, but also around a game board in their everyday social lives.
And physical recreation was just as deeply ingrained, but surprisingly structured. Take Glíma, for instance, a traditional form of Norse wrestling. This wasn't some chaotic tavern brawl. It was an active, organized practice that formed a massive part of their cultural fabric.
Now, for those looking for extreme competition, there was Knattleikr. This was a highly aggressive team sport, but with a notoriously lethal twist. The matches were so intense and brutal that it actually wasn't uncommon for players to die. It's just a fascinating look at how their recreation mirrored the sheer intensity of their warfare.
But beyond the sports and the grooming, there's another crucial layer to their daily life: their organized legal assemblies. The big takeaway here is that these assemblies prove they were a deeply organized, structured society with really complex legal frameworks. Far from being the chaotic, lawless raiders you see in movies, they had strict rules, laws, and a highly sophisticated way of governing themselves.
Finally, the ultimate Viking syllabus. Time to build the chronological deep dive.
So, how do we organize all these fascinating details into a masterclass? It's a precise 3-step sequence. Step 1, you start with that 2026 modern cultural hook to grab everyone's attention. Step 2, you move systematically and chronologically through the entirety of Viking history using strict granular facts. And Step 3, you pause, review the foundational outline, and await confirmation to begin Part 1 of this monumental timeline.
As we prepare to tackle the incredible scope of this history, we're left with a massive question. Will modern pop culture ever truly capture the complex, lethal, and meticulously groomed reality of the Viking Age? Or are we just destined to skim the surface of a society that was far more deeply organized than a simple meme could ever show? Think about that the next time you see a Viking trope on your screen. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and keep questioning the history behind the hype.